Meow, 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 meow. Everybody, I am Cantonese cat, meow, meow. Hey everyone, I think Bitcoin's going higher. It looking like it's forming a very similar pattern as it did over here back in January 2024 before a few big green candles up. What we're really seeing here is a couple things. One is there's a tweezer bottom, and this candle over here also looks like a hammer bottom, and hammer bottom over here. There's a lot of different correlates, and one indicator I also like to point out is this anchor VWAP, which is the volume weighted average price. If you click on, let's say for example, you click on this candle over here, you can see that this is the volume weighted average price, or VWAP, that represents the average price of holders from any particular point that you select to wherever point it is that you want to look at. So for example, you pick here, you can also see over here right now, like pretty much most people are in profit. Not many people are under the water right now. So these lines generally serve as either important resistance or important support levels. And you can see that it had a perfect balance over here when I picked a VWAP at that particular level. And in a very, very similar vein, if I picked a VWAP here at that very important candle over here, you can see that it served as pretty much very, very good support over here for last week. If this works out just like the last time, I think that there's a possibility where we might get a few really big green candles that could push us up a lot higher over the next couple months or so, if this works out. And there's some reason to believe that it will. Because if you look at a lot of different things across the board, I'm going to try to show you a bunch of other things here too. It does look like things are getting a little bit more bullish. For example, if you look at Ethereum, I'm going to get out these Tenkan and Kijun lines right here. You can see that very, very clearly. You got a very, very nice tweezer bottom over there. And if you pull up the bull market support band, you can see that the Ethereum price has bounced perfectly from the positive sloping bull market support band, signifying that this is a pretty important bounce potentially. Look at how nice the tweezer is. I mean, usually these things just are very, very nice bottoms. I don't know if you've seen enough charts to kind of appreciate this kind of appearance. Just like it has like a very nice trees top right here and trees at top right here. There's a very, very nice trees at bottom off a very important support down here too. If you look at Dogecoin, also did the same thing. Very, very nice trees at bottom over here, and it's actually forming a very, very important pattern, which is basically like an Adam and Eve bottom over here. This is all weekly charts, right? So it formed like a Adam and Eve bottom over here, and it broke above over here on pretty big volume, and right now it's just doing a little bit of a overloading back test over here before its bullish continuation. And I think once you're able to be done with this back test, it can potentially go a lot higher. So with what I've seen, Bitcoin being potentially very bullish, Ethereum being potentially very bullish, Dogecoin being very bullish, I just can't imagine the broader market being all that bearish. Because if you look at SPY, this is the S&P 500 index fund, and you can see what it's really simply doing is, even though it formed like a three black crow kind of pattern over here, I mean, these are kind of things that have been formed over here, formed here. Typically, if you see something like that, it might favor like a bearish continuation, but not always. I just want to say it's not always the case, right? Like you can see these over here, but actually end up forming the bottom. So these are kind of conventional wisdom. You see three black crows is going to be bearish, but that's not always going to be the case. You have to take it into a greater context here. I'm going to take you into a greater context to kind of show you why I'm not really that afraid, because I actually think that we've met some pretty important level over here across the board. For example, if I pull up a indicator here called the Super Itchy Cloud, what you're going to get is you're going to get the blue line here, which is known as the Tenkan or conversion line. You're going to get a red line over here, which is known as the Kijun or the baseline. Conversion line is usually the leading line, and once you have conversion passing over the baseline, basically have a bull market, right? So what you're seeing here during a bull market for the Super Itchy Cloud, you're going to see that price generally, if it gets a little bit too far away from the Super Itchy Tenkan, it's going to want to spend next month at least kind of wick down and touch it and get a little bit closer to it. You can see this behavior across the board here during a lot of different bull markets. I'm going to show you, right? During the previous bull market, you can see that it kind of ride up along this monthly Tenkan line over here, and just use Tenkan and serve as like a little bit of a support, kind of push price a little bit higher. If things get a little bit too far, too fast, it might go a little bit sideways and kind of get a little bit closer to Tenkan before its bullish continuation. And you can see this across the board, like bull market over here, using the Tenkan to kind of push price up higher, bull market over here using a Tenkan to kind of push price up higher. And when you have a little bit of a correction, usually what ends up happening is you might get down to the Kijun line underneath right here on the monthly chart. So Kijun over here is being back tested, Kijun line over here is being back tested. And, you know, over here, basically you broke down below both. You had a little bit of a bearish cross over here for about a year until it broke back up above, and now you have a resuming bull market here. So because price got close to Tenkan, I think that there's a possibility, and I do want you to consider this a possibility, that we already had our local bottom and that we might be ready to go up. I can illustrate this a little bit better if you look at the QQQ, which is the index fund for NASDAQ. It really seriously got very close to back testing this Tenkan over here, and even during this little correction over here, all it did is just basically tapping the Tenkan before this bullish continuation. I think simply price just got a little bit too far too fast, and you kind of had to back test it a little bit, right? Seeing how good is this Tenkan back test from the previous bull market, you can see like it's actually respecting it very well throughout the entire bull markets in the past. Once you get a little bit closer to the Tsubichi Cloud Tenkan, generally the correction might already be over, or it might get pretty close to being over. Same thing can be said about the small cap. This is the IWM, which is the Russell 2000 small cap index fund ETF. What you're really seeing here is very similar. It kind of back tested the area of the Tenkan here, and it got pretty close to it. The price just simply got way too far, way too fast from the Tenkan. It was serving as resistance throughout the line, all the way around here, and it flipped it into support and is simply doing a little bit of a back test. And so far, it looks like this very close back test over here looks like it's passing, and it's entirely conceivable that it's going to do that because it has done that in the past before some pretty strong bullish continuation, right? I mean, simply, price just kind of want to stick along the Tenkan to allow Tenkan to kind of push price up higher. So I think that because of the current appearance, and it looks like we might be getting a little bit of a bullish crossover here in the Tsubichi Cloud, but all it's doing right now across the board, from the SPY, SP500, from the QQQ for NASDAQ, and also IWM for Russell 2000, it looks like it's just kind of trying to get a little bit back close to the Tenkan here before its bullish continuation. If you look at the weekly, that might also show you a little bit of a more clear picture here. All it's doing right now, again, this is very much bull market behavior. On the bull market, what it tends to do is during a very nice up move, it generally just ride the weekly Tenkan, the blue line up, right? And when it needs to do a correction, all it's doing right now is just kind of back testing the Tsubichi Cloud Kijun line right underneath before its bullish continuation, right? You get a little bit closer to the Kijun down here, and then over here it didn't really touch the Kijun here at all until like all the way up here. And you can see again the bull market rides the Tenkan up, bull market rides the Tenkan up, right? Bull market rides the Tenkan all the way up, and right now all we're doing is it's been riding the Tenkan all the way up. Right now it was just kind of back testing the Kijun right here, so we're not really seeing anything that's unexpected. And even over here, it took really a few months for it to really kind of break down beneath the Tenkan here. When it did, it immediately just bounced right up of it until instead we're still in a bull market. And right now I think there's a strong possibility based on the past behavior of the S&P 500 index fund that I think we're just kind of back tapping the Kijun down here before its bullish continuation. It has done it over and over again. So I'm not really that entirely concerned about the price action currently. Now, if you look at the QQQ, it looks like it's also doing a very similar thing, where it's just back testing the Kijun underneath right here. It looks like it's finding support, and it could potentially continue to bounce up here. And also, if you look at the IWM, you also see a very similar pattern, just kind of back testing the Kijun down underneath right here after a bullish cross. It's just basically back testing the Kijun here, trying to find support before its bullish continuation. While I'm at the Russell 2000, I do want to, instead of looking at the Tsubichi Cloud, I want to look at the Ichimoku Cloud over here too. I do want to show you on the monthly what it's doing. It's doing something that's very, very constructive. Again, this is the Ichimoku cloud. You're going to get the two lines, right? What I was mentioning about is the Tenkan, which is blue, and the Kijun, which is red. When those two fuse, when they cross, generally something bullish happens relatively soon, within a couple of months. Last time it crosses right here, and something very bullish has happened. And the time before, it had a little bit of a bullish crossover here, but COVID kind of canceled that, unfortunately. And then next thing you know, it just kind of bounced back up within like half a year or so. The time before that, when you have a bullish cross, a very, very long bull run. Before they have a bullish cross here, a bull run for about like 3 years. So right now we just kind of get a cross right here. And then another thing we also get was, in addition to just getting a cross, you also have a back test of the Ichimoku cloud on the monthly. And whenever you have a back test of the Ichimoku cloud and you find support, it can bounce up pretty high, just like it did over the last cycle, just like it did over the last cycle before that, and just like it did before the last cycle before that. Usually the bull market can run for 3 years, can run for 2 years, can run for about a year and a half. You're right here, there's potential it can run from anywhere from like a year and a half to 3 years, because you have a very, very nice bullish bounce right here. And what it's really doing too, if you just take away all these fancy indicators, just take them all away, what you're really looking at is just a back test of this breakout level over here. There's a little bit of an even atom bottom over here, and right now we had broken above that on relatively high volume. And right now we're doing a little bit of a low volume back test, which is no big deal. I mean, these things happen when you're trying to break above something. Usually you have a healthy back test, making sure you find good ground and good support before going up higher. And that's kind of what I'm seeing here at IWM. Now, with that said, can next month end up being closing down here potentially before figuring out things and founding even a strong foundation before going up? Certainly, right? There's no guarantee that May is going to be the month where it kind of shoots up, right? Just like over here, I mean, right now you have a very, very similar kind of look over here to here, and there's a potential where there's another month right there before setting up some good ground before going up. But I also wouldn't be surprised if May or June is the month to potentially get a very, very strong impulsive bounce over here. You see this very, very similar pattern. I'm going to show you the wealth fund flow here. I showed this before, and I'm going to do it again. You have prices just kind of went sideways for about 5 months, but the well inflow has been going up like crazy. Your price just kind of went sideways here for about 5 months. Your well inflow going up like crazy. What happens after that? Big up, right? You have some about 4 or 5 months of price over here sideways. What happens? Your well inflow going up, right? What happens? Big giant candle, push price up higher. You have a lot of sideways action over here. You have well inflow going up. What happens? Gap up right here. This gap still hasn't been filled. This gap happened in like 2013. Right now it's 2024. That gap still hasn't been filled on the monthly. So all of this is a pretty decent bullish setup. I think that there is something that could be happening relatively soon over the next month or two, based on just a lot of things that you're seeing, including Bitcoin, including Ethereum, including like Dogecoin, which is just a ridiculous indicator in terms of how much global liquidity has been flowing around. You're looking at all the major indexes, look like they're just kind of back testing major support before going up. And finally, I want to look at the US dollar here, and I just kind of want to show you a couple of things here. One is that this looks incredibly weak to me. You keep on back testing this horizontal level down here, looking like it just wants to keep on selling into this level and just pounding this level down. Whenever it tries to bounce up, it's got a pretty nice bounce, but it looks like it's just kind of forming these lower highs and lower highs and lower highs, and it might potentially fall underneath the floor, right? If you look at the moving averages, this is this is a monthly chart. You look at a weekly chart, I'm going to show you some moving averages here, right? So 20 is the orange, 50 is the blue, and 100 is the black right here, right? So far, all these moving averages actually stack in the wrong way, even though they're all kind of pointing up, but they're also looking a little bit, exhausted, especially 100 right here is looking a little bit exhausted. It's forming a little bit of like a tracer top over here so far. It's only been Tuesday, so it's still a little bit too early to tell, but the dollar's been dropping, right? You can see that the 100 has been serving as pretty decent resistance until recently had a little bit of like a breakout, but it's looking weaker and weaker, and this is actually a bear trend. All the moving averages are stacking the wrong way. And if you look at the monthly chart, there are a couple of things to show here. Even though it's got a pretty nice green candle so far, there is something that is a little bit troubling when it comes to the trend. which is this. If you put the Bollinger Band, all it's doing, you can see the 20-month moving average. Even though the price is, the US dollar is currently above that, 20 moving average is actually crawling down. So there's a pretty good chance this won't serve as very good support at all, and there's a good chance that this might end up dropping over time. And if you also look at the Ichimoku cloud, you can also see that you had a bearish cross over here. Right now, the Kijun is actually above the Tenkan, and right now, even though both are pointing up, price so far at this point of the month got rejected here. If you cannot see, I'm going to zoom this in, got rejected over here by the Tenkan, even though it's pointing up. So, sorry, that was the Kijun. It's getting rejected here by the Kijun line, which is pointing up. So far you have a bearish cross. It's getting some rejection here. I think it's kind of like a lion roaring on his last breath. That's kind of like the appearance that I'm getting. Is way far extended above the Ichimoku cloud here on the monthly. And I think there's a possibility when things get so overextended up, when it gets weak, it can really fall into the cloud. It could potentially fall through the floor. So anyway, it's been 15 minutes. I just kind of share you my thoughts about what I'm seeing here in the market, on major indexes, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin. I'm seeing some pretty positive things here, even though there are a lot of people who think that this is just a dead cat bounce, that this is not going to be sustainable. If anything, I think the US dollar is the dead cat bounce. If anything, I think the strength of all the major indexes, even though you're getting, a little bit of a bearish engulfing candle over here. And that really, there's a lot of recency bias. There are a lot of people really who see this over here, they're going to remind it by something over here, right? What if it's not that? What if it's that, right? You have these bearish engulfing candle, that doesn't mean anything. You have bearish engulfing candle here, they're not having very, very nice reversal, right? You have a bearish engulfing candle all around the place with the S&P 500. That didn't really necessarily mean anything. A lot of people see this and they just get scared that this is going to happen again, but the volume is not really supporting that. Here you have increasing volume, here you have decreasing volume. So this none of this really makes any sense. You only see this bearish engulfing candle, everybody's like all scared, but again, bearish engulfing candle over here, bearish engulfing candle over here. It doesn't always have to do what you think it's going to do. Same thing here, right? So I just want to keep you to kind of think, with a little bit of grain of salt. There's a possibility, at least open to the possibility, that the correction may be over and that we might be going up relatively soon. If I'm wrong, that's even better for me, because I can just, use my paycheck and just keep buying slowly at a time and try to capture whatever it is that I can capture. Whatever market gives me, I'll take it. Because overall it's forming higher high, higher low, higher high, and a higher low right here. Until proven otherwise, until it forms another, lower lower here, then we'll talk, but so far, this is a very nice bull trend. Anyway, I'm Cantonese Cat. Thank you for listening. Have a good one. Bye.